Hello, and welcome to the final episode of Space Marine Legions Explained. And I would just like to say thank you. Thank you for watching, thank you for subscribing, liking, commenting. It means the world to me that anyone watches these videos. So once again, thank you so much. And with that, let's get into it. The Alpha Legion. 20th Legiones Astartes. Alpha Legion. Of all the mighty forces the Imperium commanded during the Great Crusade, there were none so wound about with falsehood, superstition, and paradox as the 20th Legion. Any study of the 20th is fraught with difficulty, contradiction, and deliberate misdirection. And uncovering truth when applied to such a study is a vain hope. This is the case even with a record such as this, compiled with the highest of authorities and most extensive reach possible. Perhaps some measure of the truth may be found in the lies of this secret history of the Alpha Legion. The 20th Legion was a highly independent weapon that neither the Emperor nor later the War Master could fully control. It was a twisting, serpentine thing of formless shadows, as dangerous and as venomous as the multi-headed monster of ancient myth that in latter days became its sigil. As a force dedicated to the arts of guile, subterfuge, infiltration, and counterintelligence, the Legion's covert efforts were intended to sow dismay and dismantle a foe's resolve and defensive piecemeal, before landing an overwhelming killing blow, utilizing every one of the myriad weapons and war machines granted to the Legiones Astartes. Although in many cases these protracted and complex operations were the means and ends also, for the Legion was both unpredictable and delighted in causing strife. Primogenitor, Alpharius and Omegon. Cognomen, Prior. 747 informal cognomen are listed, including the Harrowing, the Ghost Legion, the Unbroken Chain, the Strife Wrought, the Hydra, the Combine, the Left Hand of Darkness, the Azure Serpent, the Amaranth Coil, and simply Legion. Observe strategic tendencies: surprise assault, sabotage, infiltration, insurgency and counterinsurgency warfare, multi-vector attack, interplanetary pursuit and decimation campaigns, and deep-range raiding operations. Noteworthy domains: unknown. Allegiance: Traitoris Perdita. The Ghost Legion. The 20th Legion was established largely in separation from the rest of the Legiones Astartes, and it is generally thought to be created for a very specific end and purpose. However, what these purposes were remains a mystery. Its gene seed strain was kept in secrecy, though it is known to have had a highly successful implantation rate and to be free of flaw. The Legion is also thought not to have expanded beyond a very small contingent of between 1,000 and 2,000 warriors for many of its early years, never having been granted a regional intake on Terra. However, later claims suggest the 20th multiplied in secret and may have in fact been the largest of all the legions. These first mysteries would spawn others, and questions would continue to go unanswered, not only about the 20th Legion's methods and nature, but about the use to which it was put in its earliest days. Before it acted as a united legion, the 20th may have been operating in the shadows of the Imperium for more than a century, building a web of influence unlike any other Space Marine Legion, and undertaking a secret war at once part of and parallel to the Great Crusade itself. There are no clear facts pertaining to the 20th Legion's covert activities during the unification of Sol, but they can be extrapolated from records of unknown Legiones Astartes units carrying out targeted strikes, abductions, and assassinations, and reports of Space Marines answering to no known master or legion passing through war zones on high priority missions under the writ of unassailable clearance codes. These legionaries bore a range of colours and styles of heraldry, with little to no uniformity, sometimes even mimicking the livery of other legions. It is impossible to ascertain whether there was some hidden scheme to these masquerades, whether they were intended simply to confound allies and enemies alike, or if they served a martial purpose known only to the Legion itself. Heads of the Hydra. The Imperialis Logistica could not confirm even the most basic details of the Legion, be it the Legion's primary spheres of recruitment, or even gauge its operating strength. It was a Legion seemingly sprung whole and entire, as if from nowhere, complete with tens of thousands of fully equipped legionaries and a capable war fleet that operated with veteran skill. Only Alpharius knew the true extent of his legion and its domains, its strength and its reach, and perhaps even he knew it only imperfectly. The Alpha Legion's companies, battalions and chapters, referred to as harrows, cohorts or instruments in shifting meaning, were formulated and broken down, seemingly at the whim of the Legion's commanders. The chain of command appeared fluid and highly decentralized. A Harrow Master, also known as a Master Strategist, would hold ultimate command of a war zone, but specialists such as Siege Masters or Vigilators were deferred to in their field of expertise. Under these, each unit was expected to operate as a self-motivated and self-governing cell, without the need of exterior command, and expected to display initiative and pursue its part in the wider battle plan under its own cognizance and in any way it judged to be expedient. And each warrior of the Legion was trained to excel in battlefield and strategic awareness. In battle, the Alpha Legion became renowned for its discipline and impenetrable organization, which emphasized the unity of the Legion and cooperation between its legionaries in every respect. It maintained a wide spectrum of military assets and capacities, and was dedicated to flexibility and capability in every type of war zone. The Legion was known to pride itself on its unbreakable unity of purpose and will, even though Alpharius encouraged his commanders to operate with extreme independence of thought and action. The Alpha Legion made extensive use of human agents and paramilitaries, building close ties with many such organizations. However, it kept its distance from its fellow legions. Rumors followed that the Alpha Legion fought alongside each of its brothers in turn, that it might insert its own operatives into their ranks, though such hearsay is impossible to substantiate. The Legion's hallmark was a relentless application of force and a terrifying level of coordination between its warriors and war machines. This capacity for combined arms warfare, speed, and surety of attack was matched by a mystery of the darker arts of war, of sabotage and ambush, terror tactics and assassination. Also evident was its desire for secrecy and talent of misdirection. To its enemies, the Legion was a true nightmare, a foe that could strike from any direction, that seemed to thwart any stratagem and strike at weakness no matter how well hidden. The Legion was a foe that knew neither mercy, nor honor, nor quarter, and one that seemed to delight in destruction for its own sake, and the chaos and anarchy it could inspire before the death blow. As the youngest Legion, the 20th Legion was zealous to prove itself against its brothers at any cost, and the often over-elaborate and needlessly complex malign way in which the Alpha Legion chose to wage war would frequently earn it acrimony rather than fame. The Harrowing was the name given to the Legion's most infamous stratagem, by which it wielded a devastating mixture of subtlety and overwhelming force, reveling in both meticulous planning and the exercising of imaginative cruelty in war. Beginning with infiltration and sabotage, the Alpha Legion spread confusion and panic unseen. maiming and bleeding its foes' main strength and forcing upon them such vulnerability as the Alpha Legion wished. Then would come the kill. Often, this final attack, the Harrowing itself, would be in the form of an assault from 100 directions at once. A blizzard of different tactics and attack plans used against a foe, either utterly unaware of the true danger or already brought to the brink of chaos. The result was almost inevitable catastrophe from the Alpha Legion's victims, as the full might of the Legion, comprised often of elite Lernaean Terminators, would then descend at the point of the enemy's greatest weakness, and what would follow would be more akin to murder than battle. Much of this knowledge can only be inferred, however, as the Alpha Legion's harrowing left no survivors or witnesses. The Primarch, Alpharius Omegon. Of the many mysteries that surround the 20th Legion, the most fundamental and key enigma is the question of its Primarch. Multiple conflicting reports speak of Alpharius' rediscovery, from the Emperor rescuing him from a Xenos enslavement, those claiming he boarded Horus's flagship in a calculated raid only to meet his kin by chance, to those daring to suggest he was not scattered as his brothers were, but grew to maturity on Terra alongside the Emperor. All such accounts are lies. It is widely believed that on diverse occasions, members of his legion each claimed not only Alpharius' name, but also his identity, even in council with allied legions and emissaries of the Imperial Court. Some have made the outlandish claim that there was more than one Primarch of the Alpha Legion, or that Alpharius was even somehow able to duplicate himself physically and appear to be in more than one location simultaneously. Some have even attributed metaphor hidden in the plain sight of the emblem of the three-headed Hydra that later came to symbolize the Legion in this regard. Furthering this mystery and the outright deception perpetrated by Alpharius, many reliable reports of the Primarch's physical appearance differ. While he is noted on many occasions to be one of similar stature and countenance of any of his legionaries and able to pass unnoticed in their ranks, other records show him as a towering and fearful figure, bedecked in sinisterly ornate, Hydra-scaled battleplate. Whatever the case, contemporary accounts record Alpharius as being the last Primarch to rejoin his legion, and describe him as a masterful tactician and strategist. His erudition was astounding, and his great intelligence was as cool and as watchful as a viper's gaze. This has been the Alpha Legion of the Great Crusade. Thank you for watching.